Welcome to the Sisterhood of Limitless Living. I'm Dr. April Moreno, autoimmune wellness researcher and professional helping women around the world to live their best possible lives despite the autoimmune condition. Listen in as we speak on various topics about the autoimmune journey and interview amazing and inspiring women who are living and thriving despite their autoimmune condition. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of Limitless Living. I'm Dr. April Moreno and I'm here to present Ashley Olivine, who's going to be sharing her autoimmune story with us and her experience and the tips that she'll be providing for living limitlessly. So welcome, Ashley.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Hey, thank you so much for being here. Please introduce yourself to our group.
Like April said, my name is Ashley Olivine. I am an autoimmune survivor, and not just survivor, I've turned it more into a thriver. I'm big on turning your hardships into opportunities to advance. I've been able to get to places that I never would have been able to be without my disease. It didn't set me back. It actually helped me to become a better person. So I'm pretty dedicated to flipping that around and not focusing on, hey, these are all the things I can't do because I'm sick. But anyway, professionally, I started out in sleep. I help adults with insomnia, stress-induced insomnia primarily. And I also specialize in mothers and the whole autoimmune mess.
The mess, definitely.
Because sometimes it really does seem like a mess. I don't want to paint it with a bunch of rainbows and butterflies like, hey, look at me, my life is perfect because I found a way to heal from autoimmune, because there's also that phase where you're in it and you're feeling terrible and it's real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll be honest, sometimes I block that out. I forget the difficult times, that uncertainty, that scary moment of series of months even.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of blocked it
out.
You
have to distance yourself.
All right. Well, Ashley, please tell us more about your autoimmune story. What was that experience like? What did you face? What did you experience?
Well, it was terrible. And looking back on it, I have this chunk of time where I got pregnant, and that pregnancy, the hormonal changes and all the things that go along with a pregnancy cycle triggered a relapse. And I kind of credited my issues to that. But after I got beyond it, there were signs before that. And I probably had periods of autoimmune activity and just didn't credit it to that. Mm-hmm. That was my big one, where I was pregnant and something wasn't right in my body. I was sick and it wasn't just normal pregnancy stuff. And I was trying to get support from healthcare. And I got a whole bunch of, well, you're pregnant, you're supposed to feel like crap. That's normal. And so, I toughed it out because I had multiple healthcare providers telling me this is normal. You're pregnant. You're supposed to feel like crap. And then end of pregnancy, I started to have a lot of complications. It was a traumatic birth and just awful, really. And then I thought, okay, well, it's over. Now she's out. We're fine. We can move forward and I can get better. But guess what? I got worse, worse and worse. And she was almost 2 years old, and I was still going to providers saying, something's not right. You need to listen to me. I am sick. This is awful. And they're saying, no, you have a young kid. It's just because you're tired, because you have a kid. Moms are supposed to feel like crap. And I said, my daughter is sleeping through the night. I am sleeping through the night. This is not me being awake in the middle of the night taking care of my daughter. This is not parenting struggles. Something's wrong. I'm sick. No response. It was just complete denial that, hey, you feel like crap because you're a mom. And then I collapsed on the floor of a public bathroom. I could not move. I could not speak. had to be taken to the ER by ambulance. And all of a sudden they said, guess what? Maybe it's not just normal mom stuff. And I started thinking, if it had to get to this point of me collapsing and not being able to move or speak, how awful is that, first of all, that this is what we expect our mothers to feel? Like, just because you're a mother, you're supposed to feel that sick every single day, and that's normal. But guess what? It's just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. You do not have to survive on caffeine to get you through your day. You do not have to look forward to your glass of wine at the end of the night just to get you through. And it's fine if you want to drink caffeine and wine, go for it. But you shouldn't feel like you have to just to make it through another day. You deserve to feel great throughout the day. You deserve to enjoy your kids, your family, your friends, your life, because otherwise what's the point? So obviously I can fully move here. I'm not in a wheelchair. I recovered. It took a long time to recover. It was a big, complicated mess of referring to many different specialists, and the specialists saying, guess what? We don't know what's wrong with you. We can't find anything wrong. The tests are saying you're normal. And then eventually one test finally was positive and not normal. And they said, that's great. There's nothing we can do for you. Sorry, you're gonna feel like crap for the rest of your life. And it's just going to get worse. And I refused to accept that. So I did my own research. I actually self-diagnosed myself, and it was me that insisted on this test. And then I found a way to heal myself. And there was no support from the medical community.
Right? How awful is it that they're like, I mean, just being pregnant alone. I don't have kids, and these are some of the reasons why, like, I've had blockages in my mind since forever about the difficulties of childbirth and all of these things. Just how awful is it that they're saying, okay, you're supposed to feel like crap for 9 months, then you're supposed to feel like crap afterward. How many years afterwards with your child growing up and raising your baby? What is that? I mean, just alone, right?
It's so corrupt. It doesn't have to be like that. There's a happy ending to the story because I got better, and then I had a second child. And with my second daughter, I knew better. I was surrounded by different people. I was living in a different area. I was able to seek different health care. And I had a fantastic birth experience. I had fantastic providers throughout that experience, and it was night and day. And so that just goes to show that it does not have to be like that. And we don't know what we don't know, right? So when we go into this, I had this perception that, hey, we live in the US, our healthcare is good. It's fine, right? So you have some okay doctors and some better doctors, but nobody's terrible, right? Because we live in the US. We're a first world country. We don't have to live with all of that. Wrong, completely wrong. My doctor the first time, he's now on probation, and he should have lost his license. He has so many lawsuits against him. It's not okay. It really is not okay. And you just don't necessarily know that unless you've experienced a more in-depth health issue.
Mm-hmm. Right. And maternal health in this country is actually very low compared to
it's terrible.
Awful.
And I didn't know that going into it. My older daughter is 5 years old. So, we're talking quite a while ago, before all that maternal health care stuff got into the light of day. Or maybe it was there and I just didn't see it. Maybe I was just completely oblivious to it. But I think it was when she was about a year old, I was starting to see all this stuff about how horrible maternal health care is in the US.
That's pretty bad.
reading, thinking, yep, all of it.
Right. But then taking that into the field of, or into the setting of autoimmune disease now, what kind of experience did you have So what I'm hearing is that, and I'm hearing the risk, right? So there are a couple of issues, or like people who are saying like, don't take medication if you're pregnant because we don't know what the medication is going to do to you. If you have an autoimmune disease, what it's going to do to your child. Okay, I understand that. But then it's also this, you give birth and then suddenly you're at risk of a relapse of maybe potential disability, all of these things. Can you speak on this experience of pregnancy and autoimmunity?
I can't provide medical advice, but I can certainly share my experience.
Which I think is even better.
I think so too, because you read those studies and they don't always add up. So,
Right.
And that's one of the problems that I have. With my first daughter, I was reading the studies and I was following the medical advice in the studies and that my care providers were giving to me. And I was saying, well, it's science. They're a doctor. They're trained in this. And I was following the advice and I was getting worse and getting worse and getting worse. And then I learned that, hey, guess what? Just because it's in the study or just because my healthcare provider gives me that recommendation doesn't mean that what I'm feeling isn't accurate. And I learned through the process that it's not nearly as accurate as I thought it was previously. So I do better completely just listening to my body and saying, this is good, this is not good. Mm-hmm. So I've become very in tune to my body and what my body needs. So in terms of medications during pregnancy, after pregnancy, I tried them when my daughter was about 2 years old, because prior to that, it was all the whole, hey, normal mom stuff, and no one even acknowledging that there was a problem. And then eventually when I did get that acknowledgement and they said, here, try these drugs, they made me worse. Worse. And, I said, I'm not going to live like this for the rest of my life. So I do better on no medications at all. And that means no Tylenol, no Motrin, nothing at all. And I've even caffeine and alcohol are triggers to me. So when you're feeling fatigue, you think, well, maybe I'll have some caffeine and that'll make me feel better. Mm-hmm. But that can make it a lot worse. Mm-hmm. And then you think, well, I have a headache, so I'm going to take an Excedrin or something. And Excedrin's bad because it has the caffeine in it as well. But even, you say I'm going to take a Motrin because I have a headache or my body's sore. That made me worse. So I said absolutely not to any medications. I ended up feeling better. So I did all the natural stuff. I have reservations about the diet. I think diet is very important. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people get these false hopes from some of the things you see about people with gluten intolerance, and they take gluten out and they are 100% better and the world is great. And I've seen a couple people where, they have celiac and that is linked in with other autoimmune conditions, and gluten out of the diet and their Crohn's disease goes away, right? So I thought, oh, great, I'm just going to remove gluten and everything's going to be completely fine. But it's not that simple. So if gluten helps to remove it for you, do it. If it doesn't help, there are other things that do help. So I have to find the lifestyle that works best for me, and eating as naturally as possible, not specific to food groups per se, but just, don't eat junk food. And I have to move my body every single day. It gets the blood flowing. It gets your lymphatic system moving around. If you're laying around all day long, every day, the fluids in your body don't get a chance to circulate enough. So it is April, and I have run every single day since end of January.
Wow, amazing.
Not missed a single day. And I'm not a superhuman. I just made these things a priority. They're my non-negotiables. It's going to happen, because if I let certain things go, it's easy to let them go again and again. And then all of a sudden you're in this pattern of not running, for example. So exercise helped me a lot. Nutrition did help me. It's not like I was eating junk food before. I was eating more the athlete diet, and now I'm eating more of the just, I hate the term clean eating because it's become a diet trend, but more listening to my body about what makes me feel good and what doesn't make me feel good. Toxins in the home, that's huge, huge. Oh, hives. I would get hives all over the place. So if we're talking symptoms, even like your mainstream brand free and clear laundry detergent, for example, that free and clear still has chemicals in it. Got to go with the supernatural stuff. And that kind of thing for me was a bigger deal when I was having a flare up. And now that my body is recovered a bit, if I slip up here and there and I use some regular soap, it's not a big deal because I don't have that toxic load in my body and I'm not in the middle of a flare.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It takes several months too, doesn't it, to get through that relapse experience, just to restore and just get your body stabilized again.
Yeah, especially if you don't know exactly what to do the first time, and it changes. So, just because it's something that worked for you in the past doesn't mean it's going to work for you for the rest of your life. And you have to kind of be on your toes. Like, what is it now? What's changing in this phase? Oh, the other thing that worked really great for me was myofascial release massage. If you can find someone who does that and give it a try. I always felt completely drained afterwards, but then maybe
what is it? Sorry.
Myofascial release massage. And but afterwards, like after a day, I'd feel a little bit more energetic.
Could you tell us what it is? I don't know what it is.
It's just a type of massage. You have to kind of find someone who knows how to do it. And there are lots of different types of massage that can be healing. That's just what worked for me. And he would work out the muscles, but there's also a lymphatic massage and all kinds of things. So try it all if you can, or try one at a time and see what makes you feel good.
Yeah, for me, it was the CBD massage. It was kind of a recent one that I found out there a few months ago, and it worked wonders on my body and mind. I loved it. Yeah. And then I just wanted to add to the nutrition part that you mentioned. I just spoke to a nutritionist a few days ago who was at a talk that I gave, and he was still he was not able to recommend a specific diet. He said that it's very specific to the individual. And similarly, at disease-related talks and events, we hear the same thing from specialists. There's no specific diet that can be recommended. And it's just like there's so many unknowns out there, right? All these different factors, and we don't know how they all work together to affect our bodies and our health.
Right.
And it's insane, right? And then so I try to work with like, what is the known? So there's so much unknown out there. Nothing is known. I like to believe that how we approach something can be more of a stable approach to things, like through mindfulness or through like positive thinking or proactive thinking. I believe that's like the only constant in my life. It's like just being open and being ready for whatever is out there.
Yeah. And I love that you talked to someone who said that same thing, because we see all the time in the media of these diets of you have to do autoimmune protocol, or you have to do paleo or Whole30 or keto, and that's what's going to cure your autoimmune disease. But it's not. Guys, I tried all that and it didn't work. I had to do my own thing. So just like you said, there's no set, this works for everyone. But I would agree with you on the brain stuff, because that is the one thing that I incorporate into all of the work that I do. It's at the foundation of my sleep work, my autoimmune work, any type of maternal health work that I do, that is the one constant. If your brain is not on board, if you can't do some type of brain technique to get your brain on board, then all those other things, you're going to have trouble getting them to work. Even medications. Guess where the medications get processed? It's all in the brain.
Right. Yeah. I was just at the university the other day at a talk, and we got to watch mice on PCP.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So they were doing all these different tests of drugs on the brain and on mice brains. That was something.
Yeah.
That was an experience.
Interesting.
But all right. So I guess tell us a little bit more about how you've been overcoming these challenges. How do you feel these days? How are you now?
Complete remission. Actually, this is a good story. I love this story because it blew my mind. It's because my blood work since the positive has never gone back negative. And though I feel completely normal, in complete remission, that blood work has never gone back. And I actually didn't get it checked. I hadn't gotten it checked recently. So I was pretty nervous about it. And I got the results back completely negative. So I have absolutely no sign of disease.
Amazing. I love it.
Symptom-wise or with my test results.
Right. There's nothing more to say. I mean, there's no evidence. There's this phrase, no evidence of disease activity. There's no evidence. There's nothing there.
No evidence. And so, the medical field will look at it and say, oh, well, maybe it was a false positive, but guess what? You don't get 5 false positives.
Right. Wonderful. So please give us some advice. Someone who's going through this similar journey, maybe somebody who's dealing with undiagnosed issues, being told, oh, you're pregnant, that's why, so you're fine. Give us some advice for somebody who's going through this journey.
Well, the big one is to go with your gut. If you know something's wrong, you know your body better than any healthcare professional out there. If you know that something isn't right, something isn't working, you may not be able to pinpoint it, and that's okay. But you can know that something's working or something's not working, or this isn't agreeing with your body, because there is absolutely no science that is 100% and can tell you that this is how your body is reacting. They'll show you the test results and they'll say this is pointing this direction or that direction, but there are no absolutes. So if you're experiencing that and you're getting pushback from your providers, insist. You have to find new providers, If you have to pay out of pocket, because guys, we only get one body, we only get one life, and money comes and goes. It does. It's a currency. And I get that sometimes you have autoimmune issues and you can't work and money is tight and you're having trouble paying bills, but you've got to prioritize this. I see people who they'll say, I can't afford things for my health. And then they're going out to eat, they're going to movies, they're buying their kids toys, and that's their decision. It's not for me to judge. So if that's what they're choosing to do, fine. That's their decision, but they're also choosing to continue being sick. So if this is your top priority, put everything you've got into your top priority. If it's not your top priority, that's fine. That's your business. You get to choose because it's your life and your body. But don't lie to yourself and say there's no way I can make this work, because there is a way you can make this work. Somehow, you may not see it, but you just have to keep fighting. And if you're feeling completely hopeless, that might be a sign of depression, in which case you have to get help for that.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I talk a lot about getting your care team together. It's so important. The mental health, the physical health, the specialist.
It's all connected.
Therapy, whatever you need.
Did I go too harsh with that? Did that sound really harsh?
No, I don't think so. I think it's fair. And I think sometimes we need a harsh, I don't think it was harsh, but sometimes I need to hear things I was like, whoa, yeah, I hadn't really, put enough thought into that. And I think what you said is even it spoke to me too about the priorities of things, right? Because I mean, we're all human. There are things that we do probably on a daily basis, like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have done the better, the wiser, the smarter thing. But sometimes it's kind of, it's life. And so I like
Yeah.
that just, being focused on our priorities and what's important for our bodies is really going to make changes.
And there's the mom guilt too, where you say, well, my kids deserve this and I should do this for my kids. And I get it because I've been there and it's a real thing. But your kids don't want you to be sick. You can't give your kids what they need most if you are continually giving everything without taking care of yourself. So yeah, of course your kids deserve to play soccer or do whatever, you need to do to support them. But at the same time, if you are so sick that you can't give them a hug when they're upset, that's going to hurt them more than not being able to play soccer. So it's a give and take. I put myself as my top priority above my husband, above my kids. Not because I'm selfish and care about myself more than I care about them, but because I know that I will physically and emotionally not be able to provide them with what they need if I am not taking care of myself. So I have my non-negotiables, which these are the things that I need to do in order to feel good. And, if I miss one day here and there, not the end of the world. But if it becomes a pattern, that I am continually missing my non-negotiables to take care of other people, I'm not going to be able to take care of other people anymore.
Right. Yeah. So you definitely have to prioritize you. You have to prioritize your existence, being able to be here to help other people in your family, the people that you love, your children. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Ashley, could you give us some information about how we can get in touch with you, how we can learn more about the work that you're doing? If we have any questions, how can we reach out?
Yeah, you know what? If you guys are not feeling well, do whatever is easiest for you to get a hold of me. I am not one of those picky people that says you have to get a hold of me through these means. So I am at Epigen Wellness Group for sleep. My private practice website is ashleyolivine.com. But I'm on Facebook. Sometimes I get on other social media platforms. So if you find me somewhere and you're having trouble, just send me a message however you want. I'll give you my links and stuff. You can put them in the notes or wherever you put them. But if you see anything that I'm doing, a live video, and you comment and you just say, hey, I need support, and obviously tag me and poke me and do whatever you need to do to get my attention. But however you want to get a hold of me, that's easiest for you, I'm available.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And so before we end our interview, is there any last information, advice, any tips you'd like to share?
The big thing is that there is always a way to improve your current situation. So back when I was sick, I was getting the messages from healthcare and from a lot of different directions that this is your reality and it's never going to get better than this. It's only going to get worse. But that's wrong. It's so wrong. And what I thought before of where I would like to be, my goal of this is normal, this would be me getting back to normal life, I've so far surpassed it, and I couldn't even imagine at that time getting to the point where I am now. So like my career has shifted, my happiness has shifted, my life satisfaction, my family dynamics. When you're sick, you're grumpy. And, I was grumpy with my daughter, with my husband, and just everything has gotten better so much further than I ever thought possible. I'm feeling better now than I was before I got sick. My entire life is better than before I got sick.
Love it.
I guess don't settle for that. Well, I'll consider it a win if I can get halfway to my pre-sickness life, because there's no reason why you can't become older and healthier at the same time.
Most definitely. Life is much more than just the absence of disease, right?
Absolutely. And I think so much in healthcare we see, well, our aim is for either the absence of disease or the management of disease. And it doesn't have to be limited to that.
Right. Yeah, so we need to focus on thinking beyond that, living limitlessly.
Exactly. There you go. Throw your tagline in. It's so true.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Ashley. I love talking to you.
Thank you so much for letting me go on and on your interview.
Definitely. So many important points that you brought up. So thank you so much. We are grateful for you.
Of course, I'm always available for follow-up questions and things like that as well.
Okay, for sure. Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks.